Little People, Big Dreams. Florance Nightingale. Written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vegara. Long ago, there was a wealthy British girl named after the Italian city where she was born, Florence. Her parents soon realized that their little daughter had not just a brilliant mind, but the kindest heart in the world. Her father was a man ahead of his time and gave his daughters the finest education. He took them on long tours around Europe. Every time they arrived at a new city, Florence was fascinated to see the hospitals there. Florence grew to become an extraordinary young lady who felt happier visiting the sick and the poor in her village than attending a fancy dance to look for a husband. She soon realized that taking care of others was her calling. When Florence told her family that she wanted to be a nurse, everyone disagreed. At that time, not even poor widows would want to work in a hospital. All that was expected from her was to get married and live a comfortable life forever after. But that wasn't Florence's plan. She kept studying in secret. When she was old enough, she went to Germany, where she learned all about nursing from Pastor Theodore and his committed team. She kept a note of every single discovery. Back in London, Florence took a job as a head nurse at a hospital for women. In a few weeks, she showed that being in charge was not just about giving your best, but about helping everyone else to do the same. A horrible war broke out in the Black Sea, and thousands of young soldiers were sent to fight far away from home. It wasn't long until terrible news arrived. The army hospitals were full of injured men who needed urgent help. Without hesitation, Florence organized a group of 38 volunteer nurses. It included 15 brave nuns and her Aunt May. With just a few days' notice, they sailed away to Constantinople, ready to assist the soldiers with patience, diligence, and kindness. Nothing had prepared Florence and her nurses for what they found. That hospital was the darkest and dirtiest place they had ever been to. It was in such terrible condition that instead of getting better, injured soldiers were getting ill. Florence started by telling all doctors to wash their hands before assisting a patient. She asked the healthiest people to scrub the hospital from floor to ceiling. Her recipe of fresh air, sunlight, healthy food, and clean linens did the rest. Thousands of men were saved thanks to Florence. They called her the Lady of the Lamp, and back home everyone was waiting to meet her, even Queen Victoria. She rewarded Florence with a precious brooch and a big amount of money. Florence used every single penny to open a hospital and a training school for future nurses. She also wrote a book for those who wanted to learn the secrets of her profession, turning nursing into a job that was respected. And every May, for little Florence's birthday, the whole world celebrates International Nurses' Day, a date to honor the mother of modern nursing and the work of all the brave nurses shining a light on us all. Florance Nightingale was born on 12th May 1820 in Florence, Italy. The family returned to Britain a year later, and the little girl spent her childhood in Hampshire and Derbyshire. Her father gave his two daughters a good education, and Florence excelled at science and languages. She knew from an early age that rather than giving the life of comfort that was expected for her, she wanted to care for others. After turning down a marriage proposal, she traveled the world and trained to be a nurse in Germany, much to the dismay of her family. Upon returning to London in 1853, she took an unpaid position as the superintendent at a hospital for women. When the Crimean War began in March 1854, Florence oversaw the introduction of nurses to military hospitals. She arrived in Constantinople, today known as Istanbul, along with 38 nurses. The hospitals there were so unhygienic, soldiers who might have survived their wounds were dying from diseases such as cholera and typhoid, created by the unsanitary conditions. Florence made sure that the hospitals were sanitized and ventilated, and that soldiers had good food and clean water. These changes saved thousands of lives and began a medical revolution. Back home in Britain, Florence was nicknamed the Lady of the Lamp by the Times newspaper, and her methods were adopted in hospitals across the country. Later in life, she opened a training school for nurses and wrote a book, Notes on Nursing. Florence, the mother of modern healthcare, taught the world to honor and respect the hard work of our nurses. The end.